Hey, Lioness. Welcome to the show, Lioness Conversations, where we help women be brave, to lead with confidence and joy, and to find your path to the most meaningful work of your life. I'm your host, Jen Porter, leadership and empowerment coach for ambitious and heart centered women who are ready to change the world. You can find out more at jenportercoach.com. You can be part of the Lioness community where we help women be brave together. So come join us. Today, I have the privilege of introducing you to Maya Shaposhnik Cadena. After building successful companies in event production and wellness consulting, Maya is now focused on disrupting the pet care space. She's the founder of Vetted, a pet tech company that rewards and connects parents for prioritizing their pets' well being. Maya's driving mission remains the same: empowering people and teams to build a more impactful and compassionate world. Maya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jen. I'm so happy to be here.
Me too. I'm so excited for this conversation. So, you're a founder many times over. How did you become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I think there's a big question whether it's like nature versus nurture. And I actually believe it's both. I definitely think you can be born with like tremendous leadership abilities, but you go through things in life where you're basically at a pivotal point and you decide if you want to go right or left. And for me, I had a few of those moments in my life. Both my parents are entrepreneurs, so I definitely saw it in my home. It was like a natural conversation amongst us. And then I decided to do the army when I was 18 years old, and that really just like changed my entire trajectory. So joined the army and they put me in a crazy position. They had me as like a infantry instructor for like thousands of male soldiers, and I was like the only female in the room. And so, many times I asked my officers and I was like, "Are you sure that I can do this? Like, I'm 18 or 19." Like, a lot of the men were a lot older than me. They were in reserves, they were in their 30s or 40s. And so they said, "Maya, we know you can do it. Like, we wouldn't put you in a place we don't think you can accomplish and really succeed." And so that level of confidence, it just changed my entire life. And it made me understand how much potential I have. And so it just changed me to thinking like, what can I do in my life to reach my maximum potential? And that's how being an entrepreneur came about.
That's incredible. So, I'm so curious now about your childhood. Um, what did you imagine you would be doing as an adult when you were a kid?
It's a great question. So, and I still want to do it. It's a full disclosure. My dream was always to be a politician. So, yeah, I still want to do it. I just believe that there's a few different ways to get to those like positions of power and have the network and the connections and the know-how and the worldliness around it. And so for me, it was either I would go into politics really young and kind of, climb up the ladder year over year, or I would become a very successful entrepreneur, see the world, know all these people all over the world, and then be able to go into politics. So I chose the latter.
Deliberate decision.
Yes, I literally when I was 6 years old, like, did a whole project on how I wanna be a politician, and I still have the same exact dream 30 years later.
Kidding. Okay, what was happening at 6 years old that was causing you to wake up to that?
I think that's where the nature versus nurture conversation comes in, and I think I was born with it. Just like, how when you look at a bookstore, right, and you're, like, looking at the front page of books, there is a natural tendency that you're attracted to. There's something on like which book you decide to read. So for me, it was always about like autobiographies on politicians, always, immediately. And I was like that as a child, and I'm still like that today. Like I read a lot of books. I do read like more now on the entrepreneurship side because I feel so deeply about it. But it's really about leadership and impact and challenges and how people overcome those challenges.
Wow. So, was anybody in your family in politics?
No one. No.
Nobody.
They thought it was a phase and it would pass, but now they're so aware that that's just not the reality.
Well, so a friend of mine, Diana Maldonado, has what's called the Candidate School, and she helps particularly women find their way into public office. So if you ever think that that would help you at some point, I'd love to connect you with her. She is amazing. And so then, what was it about the army? Did you come from a military background in your family?
Well, I'm Israeli, so everybody does the military, like, by mandatory service.
Mhm.
So my parents, of course, did their service, but I think for me, just, I was born and raised in the States, but I moved back and forth. I lived like, almost every year in Israel for about 3 months a year. So I really like solidified my identity, both being American and Israeli. Like I always felt that the place I felt the most myself is at the airport. I know that that sounds funny, but, like, when I'm at the American airport, I feel like, "Oh, I'm so Israeli," because, like, more cultural, like, I'm, like, pushing forward, like, trying like, more Middle Eastern, like, less politically correct, and then when I'm in Israel, they're always like, "Oh, you must be American, like, you're standing in line so nicely," and all the so it's funny, I always felt like I felt the most at home at the airport.
Interesting. So
But
you
no, I
saw that service from because it is mandatory in Israel and made you consider serving here in the States.
I served actually in Israel, but I served in a dual role, which was very meaningful for me. So we have a beautiful relationship with the US military, and we do a lot of joint trainings together. So because I was a dual citizen, I had the privilege of being able to train whenever the US Army or the Marines would come to Israel, because I only did ground forces, I didn't do air or sea. When they came to Israel, I got to do like a joint training where they would teach us their tactical experience and then we would teach them ours. And then it was just like I was like the middle person between the two. So I felt that it was one of the most meaningful things I could do in my life.
So you served for how long in Israel?
I did the mandatory service, which is 2 years, and then I did reserves whenever they called me. So that was
Wow.
about 5 years of reserves, yeah.
And then so you lived there full time at that stage.
Yeah, I moved to Israel, yeah, from the States. When I was 17, I moved to Israel to do the army. I got recruited right when I turned 18. I served 2 years. I actually met my husband in the army, which was great, yes. I was 19 when we met, so we call ourselves army sweethearts. Yeah. So, very thankful I made that journey, or I wouldn't have met him. There's no way he's from Ecuador, a Jewish boy from Ecuador. There's no way we would have met anywhere else. Yeah. And then we stayed here for until I was about 25, 26. So I was here for 8, 9 years.
And when you say here, you're talking Israel.
Yeah, I'm in Israel. I actually flew this morning.
No
So I'm
kidding.
taking a call with you. Yes, it's nighttime here, but I was like, I'm
I
not
had no idea.
when you said you were traveling, I was like, "Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh." Like, yeah. So that's why I'm saying here because 'cause I'm currently here,
Okay.
but I wanted so bad to do this podcast with you that nothing was gonna reschedule.
I'm so glad. Thanks, Maya.
Of
So
course.
then when did you join the US Army?
So I didn't do the US Army, I only did the IDF, but it was in a joint role. So I always wore IDF uniform, so I served in the IDF, but I had like a special job because I'm American and I'm
Mhm.
Israeli. I was able to basically do like the trainings on bases whenever the US Marines or US Army would come to Israel, they would stop over. We have like these joint like trainings that we do. One of them is the most famous one is called Cobra. It's like a very large training. It happens think it's every couple of years. And so they would bring a tremendous amount of US Army or US Marines. Sometimes we had different branches, but they would come here and they would do the trainings with the Israeli soldiers. And we would basically just share all of the information like in this type of terrain, we use these types of techniques. And in this type of terrain, we do different things. And these are the types of weapons and armored personnel carriers and the tactics and it was amazing to be able to do that, and so I served, like, really in between the 2.
I think it's I don't know how rare it is, but in my world, it would have been very rare at 18 to have a leadership role like you had. And I know that happens in the military. I mean, you get some of the best training and development from being in a system and an organization like that. What did you learn about yourself in those years where you were leading beyond what your at least your perceived capacity at that point?
Definitely. So First, I learned that I am very good at like taking, like energetically, basically owning the room. Like people, like, they followed me. So I had an ability to speak in public and to see that people would actually listen and follow me. And even if there was one case I'll never forget. This was very like a story, again, a life-changing story for me. But there was somebody who was in his fees and he didn't want to listen to a 18, 19-year-old girl telling him what to do, even though I was responsible for them at that time. So he started smoking in the room as a way to push my buttons to see how I would react. So I immediately told him, you have to put it out, the cigarette. And he said, like, what are you going to do about it? And I said, okay, you're going to go outside, you're going to be all alone, you're going to have to do this course again, you're not going to see your family for another week. That's up to you. You have two choices to make. You put out the cigarette and you accept that we're together in this, or you go outside and you have another week that you have to stay here all by yourself. And when all the guys saw how much confidence I had and I could look him straight in the eye and tell him that, and obviously do it in a way that's still respectful, but definitely creating boundaries,
Uh-huh.
and the age difference and being male, female, like all of those things, all those factors were there. Him being successful as a business, me not even having a business yet, like just being a soldier, just out of high school. So all of a sudden, everybody respected me so much. And he actually became a good friend of mine after, because he said,
That's
wow,
what respect should do.
exactly. Yeah. And so those types of boundary setting, I can't tell you how much they help me in entrepreneurship, especially because, and it's unfortunate to say this, like as a woman entrepreneur, there's almost none of us. And
Huh.
especially with investors, you don't know how hard I try to get women investors. Like I look for them because I would love to have more diversity in my investors, but honestly, it's almost impossible, and I feel like I'm putting all my effort doing it. So I'm most of the time surrounded by more of like, a male dominant investor board or advisory board. And
Yeah.
so that has changed my life, like that experience.
Wow. It's interesting to hear you talk about the feeling like you're the only one, because that's just who I'm interviewing, right? That's who I'm featuring on the podcast. And I'm thinking, wow, this is probably a more important platform than I realized, to be able to showcase the work that women are doing. And I'm thinking of a woman who was on who is an investor in women's businesses. And it's like, oh, wow, it probably does feel really lonely in that world because you're not necessarily talking to one another every day. Is that true?
Yeah, we there's a handful of us. Like I have a lot of entrepreneur friends, and majority, I want to say like 80+% of them are male, and they're phenomenal. I'm not saying anything against
Hmm.
that. I'm saying that
Yeah.
I try. I'm the one looking. Like I'm not just passively waiting for more female entrepreneurs to enter my network. Like I'm actively looking for them, and it's like 20% of my network. So,
Interesting.
yeah, I
Maya,
think
side note, have you done a TED Talk?
no, I'd love to do one.
Yeah, I know a couple people who've done one, and I'm just thinking, and it certainly opens up people understanding who you are and what you're doing, and as the chance to get your message out. But I think it also opens up the connections that you make through realizing there's so many others out there, and being able to showcase that too, and say, "Hey, check this out." If somebody says, "Hey, tell me what you do," hey, check this out.
Definitely.
So that comes to mind too. So let's talk about vetted, because people are going to be really interested in what it is you're doing today, even though I know you've got these other businesses that you've done in the past, which are super interesting too. But tell us about vetted. Where did it start? And what's your vision for this platform?
Great. So, Vetted is a mobile app that rewards you for all of your at home care you give your pets. So we basically gamified everything you're doing at home. You can walk your dog and log it in. You can read articles and you get all these care coins. Every time you do a task, you get care coins. In the app, you get badges. You have like quests and challenges. All of it is gamified and rewarding. Every single thing you do gets you care coins. And then you get all these care coins and you compete on leaderboards, either with like the general vetted community or you can actually personalize leaderboards and filter it to like friends and family that have pets. And you can be like, like, why aren't you walking your dog? Like, why aren't you doing this? Like, I'm beating you. Like, you can positively motivate one another to do better. And then you have all these care coins, the leaderboard, great. What do you do with the care coins? You then use our marketplace, and you can go onto the marketplace to either spoil you or your pet. So you can buy yourself a free Starbucks and be like, I've been such a good pet parent. I'm going to spoil myself with my care coins and get a free coffee. Or you can say, you know what, pet food has just been so expensive and the prices are just going up. I actually want to use my care coins to lower my pet care costs every month. And that's how you use the app.
Wow, that's I love the gamification of it. So it reminds me a little bit. There's no real like. I think you're doing it in such a unique way, for sure, when it comes to pets and pet care, and rewarding pet parents, but also helping parents take care of their little ones really well. Because it's a little bit of a mystery, right? We rely so much on vet clinics, which who wants to go to a vet clinic often? But I think you're doing it in a really unique way. But I think about something like Peloton, where you've got a community, it's an inspiring platform where you kinda high five each other and there's a leaderboard and you kind of wanna go a little bit harder because you wanna be with the other people who are working really hard at the same time, and I love the idea of being rewarded for going on walks.
Exactly. And you should see how many people build habits around it. Like,
Okay.
it's a beautiful thing to see. I mean, just a few weeks ago, our back end crashed. It was like a mistake, like we had an extra period in there or something, and the back end crashed. And it was like emergency at Vetted. Everyone was trying to figure out what's going on. We got dozens of messages, not just through support, but they found us on Instagram, TikTok. They started writing us, my app won't load, my app won't load. And the biggest feedback we got was, I'm finally like having a habit with walking my dog, and I don't want to break the habit. Please like fix the app. And
Wow.
it was so powerful for me to read that feedback because I felt like, wow, like people are really using this and it's helping them do more. And obviously it's healthier for their pets, but it's also healthier for them.
Totally.
There's just like such a win-win in that model. And I think people need to feel like they're they're already doing so much work for their pets. They need to feel like there's some kind of reward because at the end of the day, like, if you're more like in the healthcare world, it's more like compliance. Like it doesn't feel sexy. It feels like a to-do list task, a burden, right? It doesn't feel fun and easy and simple and rewarding. And
Yeah.
so that's really the angle we got. I just wanted to say about what you said before, which was great to hear, was like the mission. The reason I even did this in the first place was because there is a complete black hole. Complete, like nobody knows what to do with their pets, like how they should actually take care of them on the day to day. And if you ask them, like, how are you taking care of your pets? Like, what's health care? What does it look like for you?
Mm.
They'll say going to the vet once or twice a year. Like, that's it. But we all know, everybody knows the stats that pets age 7 to 10 years for every 1 human year. Everybody knows that. So
Yeah.
think about going to the human doctor once every decade and saying, I don't do anything in between. Like, I don't care about my diet. I don't brush my teeth. I don't cut my nails. I don't take showers. Like, once you understand that, once you make that like comparable in your mind, you understand why there's so many issues in healthcare for pets and that like you could have prevented so many of those things, but nobody in the space is empowering you, the pet parent. And that was my focus. Like, how do I empower the pet parent to give the highest standard of care to their pets?
So good. Tell me about your pet. What was his or her name?
So his name is Shore, like seashore.
Sure. Yeah. Tell us about Shore.
He's delicious. He's a French bulldog. Yes, he has lots of roles. I love him so much. He's such a gift. My husband actually got him for me after I lost my dad. So it was like such a beautiful, like beautiful thing in my life. And always going to be thankful for this dog because he like, helped me build a routine and get out of the house. And like when I cried because I missed my dad so much, he would come and just lay next to me. There's such a beautiful bond with animals. I mean, we domesticated them to be our best friends, literally, and that's what they are. And so Shore has been just like I knew when I got a Frenchie, I knew that there were gonna be health issues, but what he inspired me because of all those vet visits, I would go in and I would say, "Okay, what can I do to prevent this?" Like, if he has severe allergies, okay, because he's a French bulldog and it's a breed related thing, fine. But I don't want to come in every 2, 3 months and spend thousands of dollars and not sleep for nights because he's having an allergic reaction. Like, how can I prevent it? And that's when I started learning how much you could do, and it was a little overwhelming, which is why we wanted to gamify the app and make it, like, more rewards based, so psychologically, you don't feel that it's a burden or a to-do list, but you always have an opportunity to do better, always, and that's what we
That
did.
so I'm a huge proponent of empowering ourselves in all the ways, but in health specifically. And it's harder. I think it's harder with pets because we don't speak the same language, right? And there's not specialists that we can go to who, it's like our healthcare system. You go for a particular issue, they give you something and you leave. It's not like, let's look at your lifestyle, let's look at your environment, let's look at the systems and your hereditary stuff. um, I I'm so curious, what did you learn about how you could have prevented some of the stuff that Shore was going through?
Yeah, so there's so many things. So, for example, when you have a dog with allergies, the allergy manifests in many different ways. So, one way is their eyes, right? Where they have kind of these runny eyes and like there's kind of like a drip coming out of the eye, right? And so then they get a dry eye and they start itching the eye and that's how they get an ulcer because they actually like when they itch, they and it's dry, they're basically scratching, right? And they get an ulcer. So that's allergy related. Like the problem isn't the ulcer. The underlying problem is the allergy. So lubricating their eyes is a huge win. If you just lubricated, you didn't even have to do it every day. You could do it every couple of days. But the second you see that his eyes start to get like reddish and they have like that, immediately you just lubricate the eye, right? And you do it for a couple drops, a couple days. It takes you 30 seconds maybe and you're preventing an ulcer. I've never had an ulcer since then, like, because I just lubricate his eye. And then another way is like there are hot spots on the body, like the allergy manifests in like these rashes. But
Yeah.
if you groom them, if you bathe them, like for example, Shore has very severe allergies. So I know that if I bathe him at least once every 7 days, he doesn't get them. They just go away. The hot spot doesn't develop. Like it doesn't like bubble, it doesn't get to that phase. So I groom him once a week religiously, no matter what. Every 7 days he's getting a bath. And I have their special shampoos you use that like clean out all of the allergens that are stuck to their fur, which is why they're getting those reactions, especially when they're environmental. So there's so many things you can do for your pet and I speak to pet parents on my walks. Like I always stop and I talk to people, our dogs play. And I like, they'll tell me things that their dog's going through. And I'm like, oh, did you know you could do this? You could do that. And they're like, no, how come my vet didn't tell me? And I'm like, that's the thing. That's the problem. The problem is that in our mind, there is an assumption that the vet should teach us everything, but that's not sustainable. The vet sees 30 patients a day, and the vet doesn't have the tools, the skill, the time, the bandwidth, any of that to actually teach you. And so there needs to be something that's dealing with the lifestyle post the vet appointment and really empowering people so that they can do what's best for their pets.
Well, I love this example that you're giving about Shore because I'm thinking about it. If you're on the app, you're being rewarded for giving that bath every 7 days, right? You're being potentially rewarded for using the proper products, right? The right shampoo and conditioner. Maybe a setting where with a lubrication, you're like, hey, I did this. And then we all know that there's something in our brains that there's like a dopamine hit when we get to check a box, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so what would that be like? I'm just so that the listener can understand how it would feel to be on the app. Can tell us more about what that experience would be like if it's Shore.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, one of our biggest tools, we have these AI health scans that we built. They're proprietary owned by Vetted. So, for example, let's say, you're walking your dog and like they do number two and the number two doesn't look good. You could use in the app Dr. Poop, where you just take a picture of it, it scans it, and it tells you it's 98% accurate. It will tell you whether or not the $300 vet visit is warranted, or you should just keep walking and relax. Everything's okay. And so in those cases, like you taking the picture, you getting the answer, you afterwards, you getting rewards. So you're getting money like inside your like little piggy bank in the app. All of that stuff is really, really empowering you to do things alone. Now, let's say that it didn't look good, right? Let's say that the number two didn't look good. The app identified something. It's not going to tell you what it is because we really try to stay away from telemedicine, diagnosing and prescription. We're owning the lifestyle category. So at that point, we would then pass it off to, we would recommend you a veterinarian in your area, or we would recommend you to do a telehealth visit depending where you are in the United States. And like that way you would be able to like get the information in that way rather than, like being on your own and dealing with everything by yourself. And all those actions constantly just get you rewarded in the app.
Okay, do you actually get rewarded for picking up the poop?
Um, yes. There's a badge called tidy,
Really?
yeah, tidy duty. Yeah. So
Telling
apparently
you that would probably be a good thing for a lot of people. Maybe even me, because it does feel like a chore every time.
I totally get it. I totally get it. The dog, that's why we picked the dog walking as like our main focus in the app, because for us it was like, what's something that feels kind of like a chore that you do every single day and you're not getting anything from it? And we realized like that biggest thing is actually dog walking. So
Yeah.
we decided to really focus on that. And then Dr. Poop is like a feature within the dog walk, or it's a standalone feature where you're worried, you just take a picture and you'd show us. But the idea is like if you go to our website, the slogan on the website says, you already spoil your dog, you might as well get rewarded for it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah. I love it. I love it. It is funny because my husband and I, we have a dog and a cat, and we walk our dog. We don't just open the door and let him out. We literally walk the dog, which is actually a terrible habit. He won't poop in the yard. He has to go on a walk now. But we'll walk him a few times a day, and we talk about his poop every day.
exactly.
Because it's such a sign of health, right? Is like, is he okay? Is he good? Did he go? Does he have what he needs? And so it'd be cool to be rewarded for that. I love what you're talking about too, because I'm thinking about two kind of categories where one is being more informed and having the tools to be able to take care of these little ones that we love so much. But also, I'm thinking about there are people that I know that got pets because it's going to force them to go for a walk.
Oh, for
They
sure.
need that. And I'm thinking about, people that want to lose weight, want to get healthier, want to have more stamina and being able to walk. And so I could see how cool that would be to have that supportive app to be able to say, I did this thing. Like it may not seem like a lot, but when you form that habit and now you're healthier, you're probably losing weight. If you're actually moving your body that often, you're gonna see the physical impact of that. And so to be rewarded for that and to be taking better care of your pet, I think would be a win-win-win.
Exactly. And I'm so happy you said win 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 because there's always like a third player in the space. It's not just the pet and the pet parent, it's also the vet. The vet is happy because they're finally like seeing cases where, 60% plus of pets right now have diabetes. Every single thing, yes, I know.
Oh,
It's crazy. Yes. Every single thing that happens in the human healthcare world happens in the pet care world 10 years later. Is just a fact. Like you look at the trends in human healthcare, it takes 5 to 10 years and it hits on in the pet care space. So like now one of the drugs that everybody's talking about in pet care is Ozempic for pets. Literally.
goodness.
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
want
the
you to
pets need
understand
to the exercise too, like literally pets. need
Yes.
more exercise.
Yes. No, no, no. I mean, think about it. Like they're animals, right? They were outside, they were doing different things. We domesticated them. We changed a lot of their like genetic breeding and all that stuff, right? Okay, that's all fine and fair. However, like we're feeding them, we're feeding them. We're not sure about the quantities we need to feed them. They're having a lot of hip issues. They're having diabetes. They need insulin shots. I mean, the list of like all the things that could happen go up, and the amount that you can prevent is so high that if you just spent a week in a vet ER, you would see how bad it is and you would understand how big the problem is. But when you hear the vets, like I was shadowing in an ER clinic for many months before I started vetted. And I would hear the ER vets talking to each other and talking to the technicians and nurses. And they would be like, oh, so frustrating. Like this could have been prevented, and now they're paying 10 grand. And now they have financial issues. And now the pet's suffering. And now the parents are suffering. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, how could it be prevented? Tell me. And they're like, well, this is a problem with obesity, like if only they did this, or the ulcer in the eye, which happened to me. My dog had an ulcer, and I told him, like, he almost lost his eye. It was so scary. They had to, at one point, the antibiotic didn't work, that they had to, I might butcher this because it's very medical, but they basically took his blood and made an anti-serum dose from his own blood to keep his eye. It was crazy, crazy medical advancement. I was sitting there, I was like 8 grand or something for that appointment. And I was telling them, like, listen, like, how could this happen? Like, I'm doing so much. And they said, he has severe allergies. You need to bathe him more. And I said, I bathe him every 2 weeks. And they said, your friend, she needs more. Like, look what's happening to him. Try once a week. And just through that, I was able to get, like, never have an ulcer again. And I think people are just desperate to know what to do and have a credible partner. And so that's one of the reasons I called the company Vetted, because I like the play on words, right? Like the concept of vet care and everything, that's great, but vetted, like it's also something credible that you could rely on, that a partner for you, right? That somebody is basically vetting all the information for you and helping you get to that like ultimate, healthcare journey.
So tell me more about the experience on the app when it comes to care. So if let's say so our bogey had severe rash on his belly, mostly his belly, but it would go some other places, but that was the biggest problem, would always come back. And he's on a hyperallergenic food, which he's doing really well on, but you still don't know. Like you don't know what's causing all this. But if I were to go on the app, what access would I have to information, like steps to try? Would there be somebody online that's asking me questions to help me in my specific case?
Yes. So the answer is yes. The whole concept of the app is to personalize your journey as much as possible. So that's our goal, like from a product perspective. In order to personalize, we need data. We need to understand, right? You're telling me this so I know. But in an app, when you're not talking to a person face to face, you need to like gather that data. So for example, we'll do quizzes in the app where you'll answer 5 questions to quizzes. Like we'll ask you, does your pet have any of these conditions? And one of them will be allergy. And then maybe you'll click allergy and we'll put food or environmental. And you'll say, I think it's food because he's doing well on this hypoallergenic diet. And then we'll say, great. Have you noticed any of these conditions? And one of them will say rash. And then you'll say, yes, definitely saw a rash. Right. And then we'll say, how often does the rash come? And then you'll give us more information. And at the end of the quiz, you will get rewarded for giving us that information and for like being a good pet parent on top of it. But you will also get like a list of products that will prevent these things from happening, that can lower the chances of these things happening. So for example, like Duoxo, which is one of the best, shampoo products for pets, that is proven, like it has antifungal and antibacterial protection, basically takes the allergen off of their fur, their hair, so that they're not getting those rashes, right? And if you don't have time to bathe them, we'll show you not only the shampoo, but we'll show you the mousse, where you can add the mousse to the area that's irritated, or a little like wet pad with that's kind of soaked in the material where you can just use for their paws or wherever the area is. So the more information we get, and that's why we try to, as a game, there's so many opportunities to do it. Quizzes, we'll do trivia nights where you get to do like fun trivias in the app, but you're learning, right? The whole experience is education. And we on the back end then tag your account as like, okay, she has a pet who has allergies. It manifests in rashes. It happens every X amount of time. Start to send her articles and videos and quick tips and products that can solve this specific problem. And my goal is over time to create a community in the app, right? So, like one of the features in the app that I love so much is in the dog walking, there's a community feature where you can turn on your like visible to others toggle and you can actually see pet parents on your walk. And you can like chat with them, like you see their little like emojis walking around, and you
Okay.
can actually meet with them. You can do play dates with them. Sometimes I imagine a world where there's human dates coming out of it, even, but like you basically then get to chat with other pet parents. My idea is like to make it around breed specific, region specific, like, health specific issues, so that pet parents like me that live with allergies, I know so much about allergies. I can speak to you and say, hey, maybe try these two or three things. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, this thing actually worked. Like my dog is living a much better life and I don't need to go to the vet. And it's solved between the two of us, right?
So I'm trying to understand the community piece a little bit more.
Mhm.
There, I mean, people have a wealth of experiences, knowledge, and a lot of people want to be helpful. Not everybody, but some people really, really do. So is the community such that they could chime in, like somebody could introduce a question, anybody in the community could chime in, or you could turn those things off if you really don't want to be a part of a community or don't want to be the go-to person for allergies?
Yeah, so there's right now what we have in the app and there's what we're building towards, right? So right now the only community aspect we really have in the app is on the dog walk. When you click the toggle that you want to be visible to others, you can actually see pet parents that are using the app in your park, like in your area, in your neighborhood. And then you could decide if you want to chat them or not. So that's the only current piece. The piece I'm speaking about is like we want to create basically these like I guess you would call them like boards, right? Where you have like different boards on different conversations and people could chime in and say, I tried this, I tried that. We wouldn't filter that information. We would create an environment where you could speak, but you would use the app. Like when you feel, okay, I actually like this piece of advice, like you would be able to use the app to say, like, show me some articles about this topic or show me like some products around solving this issue, and the app would basically then say, these are the things we vetted. These are the things that we believe in. You should use them and see how it works for you.
Okay, I'm gonna make a joke here, but are you gonna have a board in the future that's like, "I'm open to dating," so that you
Possible.
can have a human to human
I mean,
connection?
honestly, look, I've been with my husband for so long, so for me, I'm out of this world, but I definitely can see these amazing relationships happening. Like when I walk my dog, I meet so many great people just
Yep.
because our dogs want to play. And I'm like, I'm Maya. And then they tell me their name. And I'm like, where do you live? And they're like, just down there. So, like, obviously, now every time we see each other, we always say hi because we know each other and our dogs play. Right? So I think beautiful relationships, whether they're like, more intimate relationships or friends or colleagues or just neighbors, like great thing can happen from the app. I wouldn't say that's our star focus, but I definitely could see, it kind of manifests that way where it's like
You
pet parents Miami who want to meet single pet parents Miami, and they
you
want to,
love romance stories that come out of your app. You
I
never
would
know.
love that. That would make me happy a lot. Maybe, it would be probably breeding stories, like 2 Frenchies
Oh, yeah.
that, yeah, because that happens to me. I mean, I get stopped all the time, like, "Wow, your Frenchie's so beautiful. I have a Frenchie. Would you consider breeding yours?" And then I'm like, "Didn't you see he doesn't have balls? That's it. It's over. He's
See,
not having
ours
children."
does. So
Yeah,
ours does, but we're not gonna let him breed. But yeah,
he
a lot
needs to be on
same
top of that 'cause he's
yeah.
gonna try. It's his nature to wanna try.
Tell us about what it's a little bit more about what it's like to be a founder. Kinda what season are you in with this business, and what are some of the challenges that you're forging ahead with?
So being a founder is like, I was gonna make a joke, but I wasn't sure. I'll make it anyway. I was gonna say it's like being in pain and enjoying every second of it. That's basically what it is. No, but it's like playing whack-a-mole at the highest level, right? It's like all these like things pop up at the exact same time and you need to figure out which one to hit first, prioritize constantly on top priorities of things. And it just doesn't stop. It doesn't matter if it's a weekend or it's nighttime or it's you're on vacation, like the things will just pop up and you just have to have incredible resilience and persistence and tenacity to just go forward. So for me, that's what being an entrepreneur is like stamina and just like focusing on the mission and the goal and not really all the things that are happening on the way because then you'll just be so exhausted and it's so hard to like constantly play whack-a-mole every single day of your life. But I also feel like with all of that, when you do take one moment to just look at what you've done, just one moment. Like I know a lot of entrepreneurs have a hard time even realizing their successes. It's like, wow, like you can't believe how much you've done and how much you've accomplished and how much growth there has been. Like for you on a personal level, a professional level, the skill sets you have, the people you empower around you, your investors, your advisory board, the users, the customers that are using the app and have a new lifestyle, companies that are finally able to showcase their incredible products in a way that makes sense and is timely. I mean, there's so much impact around being an entrepreneur. So for me, I would say like I call it the grind. A lot of people ask me, how's it going? And I'm like, oh, the grind is real. Like it's a real thing. I'm just grinding constantly,
Yeah.
but I love it. I'm addicted to it, or I wouldn't be doing it, but I do.
What is the grind right now? Every season's a little bit different.
Yeah, so we just launched the product almost end of August, so it's pretty new in the market. We've been getting a lot of users, a lot of organic referrals, which is great. Like that's how you know people are talking about it and sharing it with others. Our engagement numbers are 2 to 3 times average for lifestyle apps. So we're feeling very good about engagement and like we did double down on it like in the last month, plus or minus. We made a strategic decision to not pour money on acquisition but to actually tweak engagement even more. So double down on the features of dog walking, for example. So instead of you just logging it, now you can log a past walk. Like if you forgot to log it and but you want to keep the habit, you can log a past walk. You just don't get as many care coins because it's not verifiable like your walk that's like done live. Then you can also see all your past walks, and over time, we're gonna rate the walks. Longest, fastest, most calories, like, you're gonna be
What's
able to
tracking you?
it's tracking you, yeah, when you're
The
doing the walk.
time and the route that you're taking?
Yes, it shows you the time, it shows you the route on a map. It's similar to Strava, if you've seen the Strava app, yeah, and over time, I definitely see us integrating with, like, the other health fitness apps for humans. So, when you log it in, like you just mentioned it, you doing exercise, you losing weight, that you get credit in other platforms as well for doing
Oh,
that
that'd be
activity.
cool. Yeah. Is Garmin one that's on your radar?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we use that.
Yeah. So Garmin and Strava, and then obviously you have like the Apple Watch, with like your rings and your steps and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's basically, our focus right now is like acquisition and engagement. And then one of the big things I'm working on as the CEO is the fundraising side. So for me, there's like a very clear goal of what I need to raise in order for us to get to our Series A round, which is slated for mid to end of next year. So in order for us to hit those goals and be able to have a successful round, I need to fundraise to give us the burn, like the amount of months we need in order to hit those goals. And so that's what I've been doing the last, I would say right after Labor Day, I started. And it's been more challenging than it has in the past. I have had some traction, but not to the extent that I've had in the past and with a better product with more success.
Yeah.
So
So
it
what's
says a lot
hap
about the environment.
so first of all, how are you fundraising?
It's a great question. So the first way to do it, in my opinion, is always to go first through your personal network. Like you kind of map out your network and you think about like, okay, who would be a good fit? Like first identify what type of investor would be a good fit for you. So in our case right now, because it's like a seed round, but it's not traditional VC seed rounds because We are a company that's been around for a few years, and we've had other products and services before we found this product that we believe is like the home run. So we've been focused on angel investors and family offices. Those are like our two categories of investors. And so when you do that, you really then look at your network and you say, okay, who would be a great angel investor? In our case, who likes direct to consumer business? Who likes a tech component? Who likes pet care? Right? And like you ask yourself those questions, and then you start just having meetings with people. So I just set like, I think at this point I've had probably 90 meetings since Labor Day.
Wow.
Just yeah, I have a list, I go through my list, and I reach out and I get the meeting set and I pitch them the idea, where we are, what we need to get to our goals, and then they'll tell me, like, I'm interested or I'm not interested. And if they are or aren't interested, no matter what the answer is, I always ask them if they know anyone in their networks that they think they could connect me with, and that way it just opens up a lot of different networks to me and allows me to kind of go through the motion of like finding the right individuals.
And what you mentioned before we jumped on that it's a challenging time, a challenging year, and that you're hearing that from other founders as well. So what's different about 2025?
Yeah, so, I because I was a professional fundraiser for 5 years and I really love it, like, I get a lot of energy from it. It doesn't scare me, it doesn't overwhelm me, it doesn't, exhaust me. The opposite, it actually fuels me. So I felt like, "Okay, I'm fundraising, like, it is what it is," and I can fundraise all year round, like, I don't need to fundraise in one specific time. I love fundraising. However, what I'm noticing is that there's just so much, like, uncertainty around what's gonna happen, like, in the next month, 2 months, quarter, like, there's just this uncertainty cloud kinda hovering, and it's not that people don't have money or that they, or they're just not sure that they wanna invest in anything risky, which a startup is risky, and that's a fact, and I would never ever tell someone it's not, because I'm telling them what's on the table, high risk, high reward, and they have to decide if they want that, and they can diversify their own portfolio. So I just think it's a time where there's a lot of uncertainty, and that uncertainty is preventing people from doing like more like non-traditional or riskier investments.
Hmm. And what's your prediction about when that will change?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I definitely think in 2026 it will change. I do think it will go up. I think that there's just been a lot of questions in the world with different world wars that have happened, and like a president changing, and like it doesn't matter what side you're on or what side you're not on. It's just a feeling of uncertainty. There's actually an economic term for it. It's slipping my mind right now, but the definition of the economic term is like, I think it's called animal spirits actually.
Really?
I need to check, so everyone double check online, but basically the concept behind it is that there can actually be a downturn in an economy without jobs going down and all that stuff. If people feel scared or uncertain, they will withdraw money from the bank, or they won't put money in the bank, or they won't make investments because of a feeling. And I think that's why it's called animal spirits, and that actually can set a downturn, or it can set, like, a change in, like, and everybody's thinking they're thinking it alone, but they're not. It's a feeling in the general space, and so people act on that feeling. And so that's what I'm thinking is happening now, but I do believe that in 2026 there will be like I do believe it's gonna go up, and you're gonna see people saying, "Okay, we need to take chances if we wanna grow in the world. Like, we can't just hide at home and, like, close all the doors and just sit here and wait." So that's but I'm always an optimist, so maybe it will take a little longer.
Yeah. And when you get your Series A, what does that do for you?
So yeah, Series A for us is like the beginning of our growth. I call it like a early growth round. But basically, in a nutshell, what they're looking for in the Series A round, for us, we'd want to raise between 10 and 15 million by then, would be the idea that the business model, the core foundations of the business model are proven. And for us in our line of business, there's three pillars basically of the business. One pillar is acquisition, which is like, how many users do you have, and how much does it cost you to acquire the user? Is it
Uh-huh.
a reasonable price that your business will one day make money, right? So that's my first pillar. My second pillar is engagement metrics. Do people actually use the app? Great, you acquired users, they downloaded and they signed up, let's say, but have they gone in once and never gone in again? So you're not really bringing value because you're losing all your users. So they want to make sure there's not a lot of holes in the ship, right? That's how we call engagement. So we're getting them to come back into the app and use it consistently. And then the third aspect of it is revenue. Because when you have acquisition and you have engagement metrics, revenue, I don't want to say easily, but yes, like rationally it follows because now businesses look at your company and say, wow, you have users and they're using the app on a daily basis. I would love to have an audience with this user. And then they pay us to be on our platform. They pay us to sponsor quizzes and showcase their products that are targeted for those specific issues. And they pay us to be able to even do conversions of our coins in their stores.
Uh-huh.
So that those are like the three main pillars. And obviously in revenue, you have another pillar, which is the consumer themselves, that they get to the point where they use the app. It's bringing them enough value that you start to offer them things that maybe they'd want to pay for rather than just the free version. So you offer them different things and you start to open that channel. That's what we need to do to get to Series A. And then Series A, you basically get a nice amount of money and you just like the way I call it is you basically throw gas like on the fire, right? And then the fire kind of grows like
Yeah, so you have to be at the right position to then put the gas on it for it
exactly.
to grow in the way you want it to. Well, tell us about your team because you're not doing this by yourself. You've built a whole team and a board. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so very, very lucky with my team. I have an amazing, amazing right hand. Her name is Kimmy Woodworth. She's the SVP of marketing at Vetted, but she does way more than that. I really see her as a future CEO. I tell her that all the time. And I actually I don't just say it, I actually bring her to a lot of things where sometimes, the CEO would just wanna be by themselves, but I bring her just to be there because I'm like, "Kimmy, one day you're gonna be a CEO, you're gonna have this dilemma, I need you in the room, not for you to say anything, but because I'm managing the whole conversation and it's my decision and everything, but for you to watch and to hear it and to understand what would you do? Like, you can already practice now while we're together." So she gives me so much, and I feel like it's really important for me to support her career, empower her, and help her also get to her dreams that I believe in her 100%. So she really leads the acquisition side. And now that I'm fundraising, she's been really like an internal CEO in the company. So she's also managing the other departments, like making sure putting out fires constantly, basically. And then me and her connect all the time because we're working like that. And then we have like our product team, our development team. So they're working on the developers do like more of the technical side of it, right? The coding and like the creation of different features, whereas the product team thinks through the strategy behind the feature and like really understands like what do we need to do in order to engage the user. And then that kind of shares with the marketing team because like product and marketing have an overlap between them. So like life cycle relationships with our customers, they have both the marketing side where you acquire them, but they also have the engagement side where they're using it. So one of our star players there is Peter. Peter has an amazing career. He came from Fetch. Do you know the rewards app?
I don't.
No, it's huge now. I think they're like 30 to 50 million users, but basically their app is just like everything you purchase, you take a picture of your receipt and you get rewarded for it for doing that activity. And then they use that data for like, trends and data, all the different great things. So he was at Fetch from 0 users to, millions of users. And then he came to us and really believes in the business and puts his heart and soul into it and manages all the engagement side.
And then you're bored.
Yeah, so I have a board and an advisory board. Board is more legal for me, right? Like more fiduciary duties and legal. We'll like go deep into like the numbers, etc. But my advisory board, which a lot of times join some of my board meetings, they are like the doers. And I really believe in this. Some founders I speak to don't believe in this at all. I had a debate with a good friend last week about it. He's like, forget boards and advisory boards. Like it's too time consuming. I told him, like, "Listen, it's time consuming, but if you invest in the right people, they invest so significantly in your business." So I feel very lucky with my advisory board. And if you go on the vetted LinkedIn, you can actually see we showcase each advisor, so you can see who they are. But they will open doors for us with investors. They will sit on the engagement metrics if they come from the product world. They'll sit with like the head of product, the product team, the developers, and say, okay, we need to prioritize differently. No new features. Let's focus on like 2 or 3 problems and tweak them. Um, they will connect us with B2B partners. So they will basically help open revenue streams for us. And it goes on and on and on. And I have a very high expectation of them. They have a high expectation of me. So I feel it works both ways.
What advice do you have about building teams?
It's a great question. I think I could do a better job. I will just say that because I do feel like I feel that in the army, I did much better, I feel, as an entrepreneur, because in the army, you don't really have a choice. Like, nobody can leave, you know? So, yeah. So, like, the grind is real, but nobody can leave. Whereas with an early stage company, everyone can leave, like, if you have free will to do whatever you want. And I think it's really hard to have the stamina of an early stage company. Like, I have employees that 99% of my employees that were vetted and are no longer with us, I have a very deep relationship with them until today. Like, we left on good terms. Everything's fine between us. I support them in all their endeavors. But I see a pattern and I ask myself a lot, what could I do as a leader to help them? And the pattern is that they get exhausted. Like, they get to the point where they need stability, right? And they're just like, Maya, like, I need a job that pays me a lot more. Like, I need a job where, like, I know that I'm building something and I'm not going to change it in 2 weeks because the market told me that it doesn't like it. And now I have to change everything I just did. Like, I
Yeah.
need a job with less of a roller coaster. And that has been really hard for me to manage is like, how do you identify people, especially if they haven't been in this, right? Like if they're younger, newer in their career, or they just made a pivot into more of the startup world, how do you identify people that have the stamina and how do you protect them as much as you can without like babying them or being too intense, you know?
Mhm.
So I would say I have a lot to learn. I don't want to say I'm like the best at this because I don't feel that,
Mhm.
but I do feel like everything I do, even if it's hard decisions like letting people go and having those discussions, I always do it with kindness and clarity.
Yeah.
I'm just honest with them about where I am and why I had to make this decision. And 90+% of the time, they understand and they're like, I would make the same decision if I were you.
Wow. Well, I know you're really passionate about building teams and taking care of your teams. So, do you hire based on values?
That's a great question. I wouldn't so it came up recently, 1 month ago, my previous, like, business operations manager that we had an amazing relationship and I talk to her every day still. She came up with this idea of actually, like, putting down, like, a couple core values that we have. But I would tell you, like, rather than just, like, focusing on maybe words, there's, like, 2 very specific things to me that I know whether someone's gonna be a good cultural fit in the company or not. And those 2 things are the following. Number 1, growth mindset. Like, if you don't have a growth mindset, you won't survive a month because we have to change. We cannot sit and wait. We don't have runway.
Yeah.
Like, people have to get it. I have to pay their salaries. We don't have runway. So if I'm sitting thinking about the decisions I wanna make, by the time I wanna make the decision, the company shuts down. I don't have that luxury. And so you have to have people that have a growth mindset to say, what can I learn from here? What can I squeeze from this lemon?
Yep.
Right? Like how can I grow from this opportunity? How can I make sure it doesn't happen again? I'll be much faster and quicker because I failed. And who cares that I failed? It's all good. It's natural. But let's move on. But if they're stuck in it, it's not going to work. So that's
Yeah.
my first one. And then the second one is really like honest and clear and direct communication. Like people that have a hard time communicating, and I'm speaking, yes, more senior roles because I work with more senior individuals. So I think like more lower entry, mid entry positions, it's different. And you learn about yourself, like how to communicate in an environment and to speak to your manager and be honest with them about what's going on. But for me, it's like, again, it's this concept of like, just let's go. Whatever it is, just say it to me like it is. No hard feelings. Nothing will be personal. This is a business. Kimmy always says this. We're not solving brain cancer. Like, everyone relax. We're not solving brain cancer. Just say whatever you think. Great. I learned from you. You don't agree with the strategy. Why? Tell me how you would do it. What would you do in this case? Now, obviously, I know if someone's telling me from the engagement department how they would do things, I know that they're thinking about it only from the engagement perspective. They don't know what I know. They don't have the big picture of the company, so they cannot make that decision. But I listen. And then I ask myself, okay, should I tweak the strategy here? Because I just found new information that I didn't know. And so I really need that like honest, clear, and direct communication.
Mhm. Mhm. Those are good. Those are good foundations.
Yeah, those are my two like red lines. Like, I can tell immediately if I have an interview with someone and they're like really focused on their failures and they see it in a way that's like down or negative or this. I'm like, there's no way I can work with you because I just don't see life like that. Like,
Mhm.
the worst things that can happen to you in life, and I still believe that through that, there's an incredible growth curve.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. What advice would you have for women who are thinking about becoming a founder? I find and talk with women all the time who have these dreams inside of them, but it feels scary to take that leap from the stability of the paycheck, really, is what it is. They may hate what they're doing, but making that leap can feel harder. But there's something inside of them. They're passionate about it. It won't leave them. What advice would you have for somebody that's pondering stepping into the founder world?
My advice is Nike's advice, just do it. Like, don't have analysis paralysis, just do it. Obviously, financially, you need to figure it out. I do feel that I'm more of a privileged entrepreneur because I have a husband and my husband makes a salary and like know I have some level of stability through his salary. And I do want to say that because I do meet like female entrepreneurs that are single and I think that's much harder than me. I do feel like I need to call that out, right? That I have a partner who's not an entrepreneur. I mean, he is and he has had businesses, but what he's doing now and we've had this discussion. We have a discussion where I'm like, you shouldn't go to entrepreneurship now because I'm very unstable in the business right now realm. And I need to, like, I don't have stability to offer us. So let me lean on you for stability. And then, one day maybe we'll switch turns, and then he can lean on me, or maybe we can be in a position that both of us do it at the same time. So
Yeah.
I would say just do it. And obviously, there's the financial piece that you do need to think about. And you do need to think about how you're willing to change your lifestyle for a period of time. Like, as a founder, for me, I didn't take a salary for almost 3 years, not $1 from the company. And if I could go back, I would change that. I would never do that again. I think that was a big mistake actually to do it. I think it's different if you have like a bootstrapped business, then you'll decide whatever you want. It's different. But when you have more of a startup and you look at like hockey stick growth and you're paying everyone around you, like you should get payment. It's just not going to ever be market rate. Like that's
Mhm.
not gonna happen. So you just need to be like, I'm eating out less, I'm traveling less, I'm kind of using whatever savings I have. Like you
Yeah.
create your own red lines, but you just do it. You just don't think about it. If
Yeah.
if that's what you want, you cut your lifestyle and you do it.
When I started, so this was 8 years ago, I was laid off from my job. I was super passionate about coaching because of how it had changed my life, and I wanted to do that for other people. I was in a coaching program, not knowing what I was going to do with it, had no aspirations of becoming an entrepreneur. But when I got that, when I was laid off, I decided to go for it because I thought there's no better time to do it than now. And I had a little bit of a severance, and so that was my runway. But I was single, and mm, what I did, and I can't say this was like super strategic. It just felt like, well, I better do this in order to like make this happen. But I gave up my very expensive apartment in the DC area. I found a friend to live with at like dirt cheap. She was so generous with letting me stay with her while I got the business off the ground. I reduced my expenses dramatically in order to give myself the best shot of making
Exactly.
this work because I couldn't go from, the lifestyle that I had then to immediately, starting from scratch a business and expect to have that kind of revenue right away. And that was a big that I mean, it worked, and I didn't do it alone because other people were willing to help me out, and that was a huge blessing.
Exactly, and I just wanna add, Jen, that you were willing to ask.
Mm.
There we go. That's
Hmm.
what I'm talking about growth mindset, right? Like, if you're in a position where you're like, "Okay, good things are gonna come from this. Like, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna get there, everything's gonna be great. I'm gonna push. It's gonna be hard, but hard is good. It's gonna be okay." Like, if you have those types of thoughts running in your brain, what you're actually doing is you're opening a lot of opportunities that for other people, they're closed because they don't even think about it, so they're not even asking those questions, so they're acting differently. And the fact that you asked your friend, "Hey, I'm starting an entrepreneur lifestyle. Can I, like, stay with you?" And she was like, "For sure, I wanna support you. So I'm willing to do it for dirt cheap, etcetera." It wouldn't have happened if you didn't ask, and that's actually what I feel is, like, my secret sauce. Like, I'm always asking people to help me,
Hmm.
and I never seeing it as, like, I'm I can't do it alone. I don't have those thoughts come to me. Like, my
Yeah.
only thought is, like, we live in a world with other humans. We need each other to survive and to succeed. And I want people to ask me, but I would be a hypocrite if I didn't ask them.
Yeah. Yeah. I call that the cycle of generosity, where we're always giving of what we do have and we're receiving of what we don't. And it's just a cycle because we need one another and we all have things that other people can benefit from that's easy for us to give away. And there's always things that we need that other people have that, usually people want to do it. Like people that we want to be in relationship actually delight in being able to help us.
For sure. I mean, the best feeling is helping someone else. Like, there's
Mhm.
no so for yeah. So for me, is just the question is more around, can I, shut down that voice that's maybe more negative? Can I shut it down and just go out there and ask for support? And every time I've done that, it's been positive.
Agreed. Agreed. We're so afraid of rejection, like people saying no, and there might be some along the way, but it's amazing what happens and what opens up. And for me on my journey, it has always fueled me. It's fueled me to have those kinds of conversations because people lean in. And then it feels like, oh my gosh, if I hadn't asked, this amazing opportunity would not have opened up. So it's a good thing to just do it.
I'm with you.
What an amazing journey you've been on. I love this product that you've created. I'm going to jump on Vetted myself. So let's talk about how people can find you. So I know that you've got the website, which is Vetted Pet Health. What is it?
Yes, vettedpethealth.com.
Vettedpethealth.com. And then on the app, how would we find it? Is it just Vetted?
So you would also put vetted pet because there are some vetted, like, recruitment companies, I believe, that have apps.
Mm.
So you would put vetted pet on either, like, App Store or on Google Play, and then you'd be able to download the app and you'd be able to go through a very quick onboarding and then start your first walk. That's the first action we want you to have on the app.
Yeah.
And then you can find me directly on LinkedIn, Maya Shaposhnik Cadena. You can look on LinkedIn. I answer all my messages. It takes me sometimes a week to respond, but if anybody needs any help or want to talk or get advice or anything I can do, just reach out on LinkedIn and I'm happy to.
I love that. I love when people are so generous with, just communication back and forth and engagement. Get on the app, people, because it sounds like it's really fun. I'm going to get on it. And I love that it's about pet health, human health, also mental health in a sense, because you have the tools to help you take care of your pet, which always feels good because people want to do what's best. In some cases, they take better care of their pets than they do themselves. And then also just the getting out and enjoying being outside, and it's such a motivating factor to do that. And then also, I want people to be thinking about if they have ideas for you about partnerships, if there are businesses that would love to connect with Vetted, and again, that's Vetted, Vetted, feel free to share those with Maya because there are a lot of great companies with great products that would love to be part of this platform. So, um, is that fair to say that
Thank you
you're
so
open to
much.
those? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for partners that wanna showcase their products and services on the app, and then for our users, we also love your feedback, so please, if you feel like you want us to build something, you can always write me on LinkedIn, you could write our support, you could write us on our, like, Instagram or TikTok handles, like, we love hearing from users, and I read every single feedback that comes in.
Okay. Cats is coming in 2026, right?
Yes, we'll be working on our cat product soon
Okay.
enough. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Such a joy to get to talk to you, Maya. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And until the next episode, the lioness in me sees the lioness in you.